Going on, everybody? Tactical Grizzly Bear. Alright, this video, since I'm stuck in traffic and it's fresh on my mind, we're going to talk about the Ebola outbreak and the real concern of the United States having an outbreak of its own. You know, you got the Obama administration and you got the CDC and a whole bunch of other people saying there's no chance. No, there's no threat of an Ebola outbreak in the United States of America. Meanwhile, they're bringing people in who are infected. And also, for some reason, they haven't stopped air travel from those regions into the United States. So there's a concern. And I hate to tell everybody this, but with our little border crisis that's going on, our humanitarian crisis, if you don't know this already, there are illegal immigrants hopping our southern border and are being let go basically all over America. Dayton, Ohio, Chicago, California, all these places all over America, they're just being let loose. They're not just coming from Mexico. They're not just coming from South America. They're coming from 75 different countries. 3 out of those 75 different countries are those countries that are fighting this Ebola outbreak right now. Does that not concern anybody at all out there? It concerns me, because when you hear the CDC say that there's no threat, okay, Ebola outbreak in the United States is highly unlikely, and it just won't happen. This is coming from a federal agency that is basically paid to not cause a panic. They're going to tell you that. And with the symptoms of Ebola not even showing up, not even registering for up to a month, how do they know this? Well, they're just telling you that so that they're not to incite a panic to all the people out there, all the American citizens. But as it is, there's already been reports of someone in New York, apparently that came back and he's fine, okay, but it's still kind of wondering. He came from West Africa and to New York City and went to a hospital and had the symptoms of Ebola. There's also a woman in Ohio, same thing. Went to West Africa, came back, had all the symptoms of Ebola, but the test came back and she's fine. Personally speaking, they wouldn't tell us if it was positive anyways. Think of how many people that they infected if they do have Ebola. Again, they're not going to tell you. They're not, the federal government is not going to tell you if there is an outbreak. They're going to try to isolate it to that location or those locations so the rest of America doesn't go apeshit and start panicking. So it is my personal belief, and again, I just go by what the federal government has done in the past and everything else. And you know, the news media, they're on the side of the federal government now, so they're only going to report what they think is relevant, okay, and what they're told to report. And if the federal government tells the media not to report on this, well, then they're not going to report on it. So, personally speaking, again, these people could very well have the Ebola virus. They are quarantined, and even after the tests have come back, I believe they're still quarantined until they get better. So they can tell the American people whatever they want. It doesn't matter. They're going to tell you that everything is fine and hunky-dory, and we here in America are immune to it. And people out there are just going to freaking believe that. Me personally, I'm skeptical of the whole thing. All right. Again, 75 countries. 75 different countries is what we have a problem with. Not just Mexico, not just freaking Honduras and Colombia. All right. We have 75. That is 1/3 of the world. Actually, I'm sorry. That is 2/3 of the world. There's only like 100 and some odd different countries in the world, or maybe close to 200 or something like that. Again, I don't have books in front of me. I don't have the internet in front of me or anything else. So, I'm just going by what I can remember. But it's 2/3 of the world that is crossing our southern border. And out of that 75 different countries, three of those countries are fighting this outbreak right now. I mean, there's no stopping it either. It's not getting any better in those countries. It's getting worse. And at some point, you have to believe that somebody is going to come to America infected. And that somebody, I don't care what you say, oh, well, you have to touch that person and everything else. That person can sneeze in a room, all right? And that's bodily fluids being projected, 1,000 feet, all right? Look up sneezing. It's bodily fluids, and the germs and viruses and everything else that go from sneezing freaking can go up to 1,000 feet. You're telling me that, there's no possible way. Oh, you have to have bodily fluid exchange and everything else. Well, you know what? You're cramped on a freaking airplane and somebody freaking has Ebola and he gets up and brushes past you and freaking 15 other freaking people to get to the bathroom so he can puke or do whatever. All right? Yeah. That's called bodily fluid transfer. All right? And those 15 people get on other planes, and then they feel sick, and they don't feel very well, and they get up, all right, and they go to the bathroom, and they brush up against 15 other people. Well, now instead of one person, instead of 15 people, you got freaking over 100 people infected, and it grows from there. If this thing was just bodily fluid exchange, don't you think that they could freaking figure it out in those countries that are being exposed to this right now? No, there's something more. It's more than just freaking bodily fluid exchange. All right? Damn near 1,000 people have died, and so many more have been infected by this thing. All right? It's as far as I'm concerned, it's a very scary situation. And the United States government, again, don't believe, they're not telling you everything. They're not. Don't believe what they say. I mean, in all honesty, look at their track record. Look at our government's track record with divulging information to us. They don't. So when the CDC says there's nothing to worry about, that's when I start to worry.